Assalamu alaikum. Peace be upon you. This program presents the second episode of our series, The People of Jannah, where we talk about the great Sahaba who attained paradise. And today we are talking about Sayyiduna Ali ibn Abi Talib, may Allah be pleased with him, whom the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam called Amir, Momineen. The Prince of the Faithful. So let us look into the life of this great personality. Point no one uno titled and ono. He was known as Amir Momineen, Commander of the Faithful. This was not an ordinary title. It was a title that was given to him because of three things. No. 1. His courage. No. 2. His knowledge. No. 3. His devotion. So all these three things combined made him the commander of the faithful. And it is important to note that when the Prophet ﷺ spoke about this, there were more than 100,000 Muslims present, but none of them objected. So that shows you how unanimous the Muslims were regarding the excellence of Hadrat Ali. May Allah be pleased with him. The second point is courage in battle. Hadrat Ali, may Allah be pleased with him, was renowned throughout Arabia for his unparalleled courage. He was called the Lion of Allah, and rightfully so. When you look at the battles in which Shabat Ali participated, such as the Battle of Badr, the Battle of Uhud, the Battle of Khandaq, the Battle of Kaaba, as well as other battles, his courage knew no bounds. In fact, during the Battle of Badr, out of the 140-odd Muslims, only 2 were not wounded, and one of them was Hadrat Ali. Why? Because he was busy fighting multiple opponents. So he was surrounded by the polytheists. So how could he then put his hand up to safeguard himself? Even during the Battle of Uhud, despite being injured, he fought valiantly. In fact, after the Battle of Uhud, the pagans said if it wasn't for Ali, we would have annihilated all of you today. So you can see how they acknowledged his bravery. Also in the Battle of Khandaq, when the trenches were dug, the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said to Hadrat Ali, if anyone breaks through the trench, I will give him my daughter's hand in marriage, meaning he will receive the hand of Fatima Zahra. May Allah be pleased with her in marriage. So just imagine the sort of bravery it took for someone to break through the trench. And guess who did that? Sayyidina Ali. So you can see that his bravery was unparalleled. That is why he was known as the Lion of Allah. Third point, his knowledge and his wisdom. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, Ali is the gate of knowledge. I am the city of knowledge, and Ali is its gate. Why? Because Ali was a living encyclopedia. All the questions that people had, they went to him. And he also wrote many beautiful books. In fact, his speeches are recorded in a book called Balagha, which means the peak of eloquence. So if you read those speeches, you will find so much knowledge and wisdom in them. In fact, there is a narration that the Prophet ﷺ said the one who studies the science of Quran with the intention of showing, for gaining fame, he will have 2 garments of fire to wear on the day of judgment. So Ali was the exact opposite of that. He studied the Quran because he wanted to get closer to Allah. The fourth point is his piety and worship. Hazrat Ali, may Allah be pleased with him, was famous for his humility, his fasting, his prayers, his closeness to Allah. He was famous for reciting the Quran every day. In fact, the first thing he did every morning was he would recite the Quran, and then he would start his day. He also emphasized on doing good deeds. In fact, he has a very beautiful narration. He says, he who does not do good deeds in this world will not taste the sweetness of good deeds in the hereafter. So that is why he used to encourage the Muslims to do good deeds. And he also taught us that we should strive hard in worshipping Allah. There is a very beautiful narration where he says, the best jihad is that which a man strives with his own self, suppressing his evil desires, his anger and his greed, desiring thereby to earn the pleasure of Allah. So this is the spirit of Islam. You have to fight your own soul, your negative traits, your bad character, your bad habits, and struggle to earn the pleasure of Allah. And that is the ultimate jihad. And that is why Ali, may Allah be pleased with him, is regarded as one of the most pious individuals who ever lived. The fifth point is his justice and leadership. Hazrat Ali was the fourth caliph. He was just after Uthman. May Allah be pleased with him. When he became the Khalifa, he became the leader of the entire Muslim Ummah. And what did he do? He did not change anything. He kept everything as it was. In fact, he started by reading the letter of Majana, where the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wasallam talked about establishing justice and upholding the rights of the weak. So he said, "Beware, O people. Allah has placed you in positions of authority and has entrusted you with the affairs of the Ummah. Know that you will be held accountable for what you have been placed in charge of. Beware, Allah has not accepted from me the prayer in which I did not establish justice among my people." So these were the words of Imam Ali when he became the Caliph. And what did he do? He established justice. He stood against corruption. He stood against oppression and tyranny. He appointed governors who were pious and just, and who were fair, and he always looked into the rights of the weak. So that is why Imam Ali is known as the champion of the oppressed. Now before we move on to the next point, I want to highlight something very important. Hazrat Ali, may Allah be pleased with him, was not just a great warrior. He was not just a great leader. He was not just a great scholar. He was all of that, but he was also a family member of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. In fact, he was his cousin and son. He married Lady Fatima, may Allah be pleased with her, and he had two sons, Hasan, may Allah be pleased with him, and Hussein, may Allah be pleased with him. And both of them were, of course, from the Ahlul Bayt of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi. So this makes Hazrat Ali an integral part of the family of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Now moving on to point number 7, his legacy. Hazrat Ali left behind a legacy that continues to inspire Muslims till today. He showed us what it means to be a defender of truth, to be a standard bearer of Islam, to be someone who is not afraid to speak out against oppression and tyranny, and to be a guide for the future generations of Muslims. We see this in the many students of Hazrat Ali, such as Imam Hassan, Imam Hussein, Muhammad ibn Abdullah, and many others. They were all inspired by their father and they followed in his footsteps. We also see this in the many works of Hazrat Ali, such as his speeches and his letters, which continue to inspire Muslims till today. In fact, his words in Nahjul Balagha continue to be studied and discussed by Muslims all over the world. So you can see that the impact of Imam Ali continues to be felt even today. And that is why we call him the Prince of the Faithful. So to conclude, we have established that Imam Ali, may Allah be pleased with him, is in Jannah. This is based on the hadith of the Prophet Salam, as well as the consensus of the Ummah. And that is why we love him and we hold him in high esteem. So this brings us to the end of this episode on the life of Imam Ali. May Allah be pleased with him. If you liked this video, don't forget to subscribe so that you can get notified when we release new videos. And we ask Allah Almighty to bless you all and to grant us all goodness. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.